Reach your neighbor. Thank you again for being here. I appreciate it. Hi, thank you. Every time I wander down there, I never get back inside. Today's invocation will be offered by Seth Butler.
Would you bow your heads with me? Father, we give you thanks for today. And despite the rain, we know that each day is a gift. Each breath we take is a gift. Would you help us to be thankful? Help us to be grateful for everything that you have given us. Thank you for the food that we've just enjoyed, for this time together, for this club, for the work you've enabled us to do that enriches the community that we live in. We ask that you would bless our efforts, bless our attempts to empower the powerless, to lift up the weak, to encourage the downtrodden, and to give a voice to the voiceless. Give us eyes to recognize just how blessed we are, and would we give generously of everything we have as a result. We ask all of this in your name. Amen.
Well, welcome everyone. I hope everyone had a happy Easter and enjoyed the actual good weather that we had, surprisingly. I also wanted to thank Tim Swift and the Wooster Brush crew for being great hosts last week and putting together a wonderful off-site meeting. I know everyone that was there enjoyed the wonderful tour, so thank you to all of them. Today is National 1 Cent Day. So what do Benjamin Franklin, the phrase mind your own business, April 1st, and National 1 Cent Day all have in common? The answer is the penny, which we recognize on National 1 Cent Day. The United States first issued a 1 cent coin produced by a private mint in 1787. Benjamin Franklin designed it. On one side, it read, mind your business. On the other, we are one. This coin was made of 100% copper and was larger than today's penny and came to be known as Fujio. Obviously, there are many different designs of the penny, and to observe the National Day, you're more than welcome to research the penny yourself. So I didn't want to go into the whole history and give you all the different designs because we got a lot more to do, important things than that. But today is National 1 Cent Day. So with that, today, Secretary Lynn, the Secretary report.
Thank you, President Courtney. Melanie Garcia has the traveling microphone, and we're going to start with Sarah Baker.
So today I have with me Caitlin Baker, my daughter, hopeful future Interact Club member and future Rotarian, who does and Rotary International for spelling. And she doesn't have school today, so she's joining me for lunch.
Donna Conley.
This today is my husband, Ted Conley.
And we also get the privilege of hearing from Armando and Erica.
First off, spring break was fun. I went out to meet some friends. Second half, I was described as not boring, but I was in the house March. I didn't get out of the house. Yeah, I didn't get out of the house like from Thursday to Sunday. I wasn't. We have like 2 birthdays that week, and we also host the family dinner for the southern house. And we did like the everything that got back and found a lot.
can I get inside? It was so beautiful. I from my husband, the Canadian science fair is on the side, so I went to that side. It was so beautiful. I think that's better than. And I did zip line near the, just near the. It was so cool. It's not the village, it's not far, but you know, the near the river is so this, so it's so cold. That was crazy, but and then that was so beautiful. I went to tower and the sky was not. Also illumination online, and I lunch was watching the Niagara Falls, so beautiful. And I also studied the other day. I studied cello. So my host dad is a music teacher, and I said I want to learn cello if possible, and oh yeah, you can do it. I only have 2 months left, but I will try my best, and yeah.
Ann Smith.
Yes, today is Christy Wallaby, sales coordinator for MCTV and 11-year member of the Cleveland Orchestra Choir.
And Marty Starkey.
My guest today is Amy Beard. We worked together at the Convention Bureau many years ago. And she is also the founder of Expertise downtown Wooster and her music club. So she's been a resident in the program.
Welcome to all our guests, and we have one announcement from the podium, Tom Rumbaugh.
Guess what? We're still working on flags. We're getting there though. We have about 2,500 flags ready to go. Which should take care of the subscribers, and we try to get 3,000 to take care of all the freebies that we give away, such as to the city. And if there's any weather damage, we like to have extra flags also. So that being said, the next maintenance day will be Thursday, April 18th, 4 to 6. And Saturday, April 13th, from 9 to 12. And Lee King will be sending out an email reminder and a sign up. So thank you.
All right, welcome to all the guests. We hope you enjoyed today's speaker. And actually, Kathy McConnell will be introducing our speaker today.
Dr. Lisa Wong is concurrently Professor of Music at the College of Wooster and Director of Choruses for the Cleveland Orchestra. At the College of Wooster, she directs the Wooster Chorus and teaches courses in conducting, choral literature, and music education. As Director of Choruses for the Cleveland Orchestra since 2017, she oversees all choral performances and prepares the Cleveland Orchestra Chorus and Blossom Festival Chorus for performances throughout the season. She has prepared choruses for conductors Franz Wilder-Moos, Johnny Adams, Jamie Glover, Eric Whitaker, Susan Malky, Klaus Mekala, and many others. Lisa has worked with students at all levels, ranging from pre-kindergarten through college. Before moving to Ohio, she was active as a music educator for 16 years in New York, Pennsylvania, and Indiana. An advocate for music education and women in leadership, Lisa remains active as a clinician, a guest conductor, and adjudicator. She regularly serves as a music panelist for the National Endowment for the Arts and for Chorus America. She has presented her work at the American Choral Directors Association, the Ohio Choral Directors Association, the Ohio Music Education Association, and the National Collegiate Choral Association, and is frequently invited to work with students and educators in domestic and international clinics and workshops. She told me she just got back from Singapore, having done just that on the second half of spring break. I'd also like to note that Lisa has been a great conduit for connecting College of Wooster students with the Cleveland Orchestra Chorus. 3 students in the Office of Experiential Learning that I work with have held summer internships with the chorus, working on projects and getting the opportunity to sing at the Blossom Music Festival, including once with Star Trek alum and multi-talented performer George Takei. Please join me in giving Dr. Lisa Wong a warm Wooster Rotary welcome.
Thank you, everyone, and good afternoon. I'm so delighted to be here with you today to share a little bit about my work and what I do at the college and what I do with the orchestra chorus. And I also want to be sure to leave time for any questions that you may have. So we'll just go ahead and dive right in. I thought it might be helpful to have a little bit of background on me at first. So I've got some things up on the screen that may help you. I grew up in Oneonta, New York, upstate New York, just a very small town of around 13,000 people. It is a predominantly white community. I think growing up, I knew maybe one other Asian student at my high school. I knew no one of mixed race like me. And I think the community has remained as such. It's really just about 1% Asian in terms of the demographics. My father is Chinese. He was born in Malaysia, came over to the US during World War II as a student and remained here. My mother was American born, and she grew up in New York as well. My mother was a nurse, my father was a doctor, and so everyone thought that I would be going into medicine, and really that never happened. So instead of going into medicine, I knew that I really wanted to be a teacher. I didn't know what I would teach, but I knew that I really liked school and I really loved my teachers. And so I knew I wanted to be involved in that in some way. And then when I was a high school student, that's when I got really involved in music. And I thought, well, what a great way to combine both loves. And so I ended up going to Westchester University of Pennsylvania. Westchester is not far from Philadelphia. And it was there that I did my undergraduate work in music education. I was my primary instrument was flute. And I thought I was going to be a high school band director. And so that's what I studied. But that's another thing that never happened, because as soon as I graduated, I was hired to teach high school chorus. And quite honestly, I'm sure I was very bad at it, because I was much more experienced as an instrumentalist. But I knew that there was something about choral directing that I really loved. And so I wanted to figure out more about it. And so that's when I decided to go to Indiana University to pursue a master's degree in choral conducting. And the way that I did it is I stayed teaching during the academic year, and then I would travel to Indiana in the summer to do summer study there. And then I would go back to teaching during the academic year, and it really helped me to apply what I was learning. So I was immediately able to put that sort of theory into practice. And so I ended up staying in education, teaching high school and middle school choruses for 16 years. And I thought that was going to be my career. I really loved doing it. But around year 15 into that, I just wasn't sure that this was going to be sustainable for me anymore. the schedule was such that I was at school first thing in the morning. You know, we had to be there before 7 a.m. And I was there into the evening doing all of the things that high school teachers do. I was directing the musical, I was leading the show choir, I was working with honor choirs. And it was just really taking a toll on me. So I was looking for a change. So it was around that time that I decided to go back to Indiana and to pursue the doctorate in choral conducting. And I wasn't quite sure where that would take me, but I thought it would take me to possibly something different, maybe to teaching at the college level. So in my last year at Indiana, we mounted a production of the Benjamin Britten War Requiem. And this is a massive piece with a huge chorus, a large orchestra, plus a chamber orchestra, plus soloists and a children's chorus. And so this production was conducted by Robert Porco, who got circled at the bottom of this screen. And Bob Porco was my predecessor as director of choruses with the Cleveland Orchestra. So that was our first opportunity to work together. I was preparing the children's chorus and Bob was the conductor for the work. We had a great experience. It's an amazing work. So while you're checking out the Penny today, you can also check out the Britten War Requiem. It's really incredible. But even more incredible was my experience and opportunity to work with Bob. He was just incredible. He was also on faculty at Indiana, but we didn't interact because I was there as a master's student only in the summers when Bob was here in Ohio. And then by the time I went back for the doctoral experience, he was here full-time in Ohio. So this was really our first chance to work together, but it was just terrific and changed the course of my life. That same year, I finished the doctoral program and was hired to teach here at the college. And if I'm being honest, I had never even heard anything about Wooster until I applied for the position. It came up as just one of many jobs that I was applying for, but I knew it involved choral conducting and I knew it involved music education. And I thought, that's really appealing to me. I'm going to check this out. So I applied and very happily was accepted. And then Bob knew that I was moving to Ohio. So he said to me, "You're coming to Ohio, you're not far from Cleveland. Why don't you come and sing in the Cleveland Orchestra chorus?" And I thought, well, that sounds great. Of course, I would love to do that. Not really knowing, again, how this would change the course of my life. So I went to sing with the Cleveland Orchestra chorus. And the first two pieces that we did together were the Brahms Requiem and the Beethoven Ninth Symphony. And I can just remember being on that stage and hearing the orchestra for the first time live. It just blew me away. And I thought, okay, yes, I've got to stay and do this. And so I stayed singing in the chorus, loved it. And I will say that I was learning more and more every time, just being in rehearsals with Bob, being around this level of musicianship. I learned a huge amount, maybe even more so than I had in any degree program that I had been involved in. It was just, you know, on the spot learning. So the following year, there was an opportunity for me to be the assistant director, which I happily accepted. And then a couple of seasons later, I also had the opportunity to direct the youth chorus. That's our high school level ensemble, and they're sort of a mini version of the orchestra chorus, just high school students learning to perform largely symphonic repertoire. So I happily did both of these things. I served as the assistant director, I served as director of the youth chorus, and I thought, you know, my life cannot get any better than this. And it was really manageable to do those things and teach at the college. So while teaching here at the college, over this course was awarded tenure and just went about my day-to-day teaching and working with the Wooster Chorus. And the level of, in terms of busyness, felt really manageable, and I was very, very happy with that schedule. Then in 2017, the director of choruses position opened up. And I really did not think that I was going to be doing that, and people would ask me, well, is this going to be you? Are you going to apply for this position? And I thought, no, I don't think they're looking for me. I think this will be an international search. And I thought, I'm just really happy to be the assistant director. And then, as it turns out, I was named as the director, and I thought, okay, I was not expecting this, but let's figure this out. The big change is that this was now a full-time position. So I have a full-time position here at Wooster, and then this was also a full-time position. So was it going to be manageable? Was it going to be sustainable for me to do both? And I really didn't know. Luckily, during my first full season, Wooster gave me a partial sabbatical where I was able to direct the Wooster Chorus, but I was not chairing the department. I was not teaching my other coursework. So it really helped me to figure out everything that was new with the orchestra chorus and to try to figure out if I could do both. So I'm going to pause for a second there, because then what does that really mean? What is my position as director of choruses in Cleveland? Why is it full-time? So just in general, as Kathy mentioned, I'm expected to prepare the choruses for all of the performances with the Cleveland Orchestra. We are an organization that's embedded with the Cleveland Orchestra, so we're not, as some other groups are, we're not an independent organization that sometimes performs with the orchestra. Basically, if the orchestra wants to perform a choral work, we are the chorus. So, what does that mean? Why is that such a big deal? Because lots of people are choral directors, lots of people prepare choruses. Well, really, and I'm sure I will sound horribly biased saying this, but the Cleveland Orchestra is really at the very top of the American orchestras. Sometimes we think of the big five, which would be groups like the New York Philharmonic, the Boston Symphony, Philadelphia Orchestra, Chicago Symphony. Cleveland is really at the top of that level. Not only is it a top American orchestra, it is a top orchestra in the world. So preparing anything at that level has a lot of pressure with it, and there's an expectation that everything is excellent all the time, because of course we want to stay at that level. Now, a big difference though with the Cleveland Orchestra Chorus is that everyone in the chorus is a volunteer. Lots of choruses like this have a core of, I'll air quote, professional singers, and then everyone else is a volunteer. In Cleveland, the entire orchestra chorus is voluntary. It is auditioned, to be sure, so we're picking, excellent singers, but they're all giving up their time. So then to try to balance that, having volunteer singers with this top international level orchestra is a tricky thing to balance. The other part that's tricky about it is most often I am preparing the chorus to be conducted by someone else. So, for example, next week, we're doing Belshazzar's Feast with Klaus Mekela conducting. And Klaus and I have not talked about the piece, and this is most often the case, that we don't consult with one another ahead of time, and then I'm expected to just sort of predict what the conductor will want. So that's a bit of a tricky thing. So how do I do that? If it's a conductor I've worked with before, that makes it a little bit easier because I know maybe what they might be expecting. Sometimes there are recordings of pieces with that person conducting, so I can listen to those. Sometimes if it's a particularly lucky circumstance, I might get to travel. Here I traveled to Salzburg to hear a performance of a Schubert piece that we were working on. And then I also last summer traveled to Paris because Klaus was conducting the same Belshazzar's Feast. And I wanted to hear them conduct it. I wanted to see them conduct it. Sometimes I get to attend rehearsals, and I can read their body language as they're conducting. So that doesn't always happen, that I get to travel to these terrific places, but when it does, it's of course great. Sometimes, for example, in the fall, we're doing a brand new work. We're doing a premiere of a piece where I don't know the composer. I do know the conductor. There are no recordings of this piece, and ours will be the first performance. So, that's much more difficult. It's a lot of predicting, and it's a lot about making the chorus flexible enough to try different things that the conductor might ask for. But it's certainly a trickier part of the job. That's the bulk of what I do, but just some of the other things in general, I do conduct in some performances, which is terrific. I'm the person that's in charge of auditioning new singers and re-auditioning our current members. We re-audition every 3 years. In general, I'm the face of the chorus. So if there are any sort of media releases, press releases, videos that go out, that's me. I'll also participate at donor events and the like. I'll advise our guest conductors on future programming. So we typically program 5 years in advance. Sadly, I can't share any of that information with you, but we do program 5 years out. And so I'm constantly listening to music and making sure that these large pieces will be a good fit for the chorus. I'm now no longer in charge of the youth chorus, but I do oversee all of our youth programs. We start as early as 4th grade and go up through high school. So I oversee those. And in general, I'm expected to be sort of the visionary of the program. So then how does this fit with the College of Wooster? That's obviously a huge amount of work. And now I'm no longer on sabbatical here at the college, and I'm back to teaching my full-time schedule. I will say that I'm really busy, no doubt. That's, an understatement. And here, when I was leaving the high school teaching schedule, I thought I need to be less busy. Now I'm in fact busier, but it's a different kind of busy, and my time is more flexible, more or less. I can choose how I want to practice and how I want to spend my time. But in terms of combining these two positions together, this has opened up so many opportunities for our students at the college. As Kathy mentioned, of course, we have students who are interested in doing internships and the like with the orchestra, which is great. We also have a number of students who now sing with the orchestra chorus. And because they're full-time students and because they live in Worcester, they can't really be a part of every piece that we do. But I've been trying to find at least one piece a semester that is a good fit for our students. And something that's manageable, that they can learn with me, and then they can sing on this really incredibly high level. So last year, for example, they got to sing the Mozart Requiem. In the fall, they sang with Eric Whitaker, who is here to do his piece, The Sacred Veil. And then next week, they will sing in Belshazzar's Feast with Klaus Mekela. And we've arranged it so the students can get credit for participating here. So they can audit it if they already have too many credits, which is often the case with our music students, but they can also take it for credit, and they've got to prepare the work on their own. They rehearse weekly with me, and then they come up to Cleveland to rehearse with the orchestra. So it's been just a terrific pairing all around. And I think something that cannot actually be replicated by any other college or American university. It's a unique program at a really, really high level for our students. But maybe even more importantly than them combining with the orchestra, I take very seriously my role as their teacher and my role as their role model. So I wanted to show you just a couple of slides about how women are perceived on the international stage as conductors. So coming from the former conductor of the St. Petersburg Philharmonic, he says the essence of a conductor's profession is strength. The essence of a woman is weakness. From the current music director of the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, he says a sweet girl on the podium can make your thoughts drift toward something else. And then finally, Jorma Panula, who's a Finnish conductor and very famous conducting teacher, he advises women to stick with feminine music. Bruckner or Stravinsky will not do, but Debussy, nah, that's okay. And this is purely an issue of biology. Jorma Panula, by the way, was the former conducting teacher of Klaus Mekela, who will be with us next week, and also was the teacher of Susanna Nelke, who is pictured in this photograph. So these are not older comments, from an earlier time. These are contemporary comments. So I take very seriously my role as a conductor and as a female conductor. And I think maybe that's the most important thing that I can do for our students at Wooster, is to show them really what is possible, whether or not they're majoring in music. Because a lot of our students who are singing with the orchestra chorus may not major in music, but I'm hoping that they continue to sing and to keep music as a part of their lives. And I'm hoping that they are able to view women in these conducting and leadership roles as as the norm, quite honestly. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to take any questions if we still have time for that.
Thank you very interesting. As all the Cleveland singers are volunteers, do you have trouble getting volunteers? And how much time in a week would a singing volunteer spend?
So right now, the chorus is right around 140 singers, which I think is a good number for this sort of orchestral chorus. And we have lots of people who audition every year. Actually, we have auditions coming up in a couple of weeks, and I think all of the spots are already full. So I think there's a great appeal to being able to sing with the Cleveland Orchestra. To be able to sing in Severance Music Center is a huge draw. And the chorus, and Chris is at your table, so maybe he can speak a little bit about this too, but the chorus itself is a terrific community of people. It's a great community of singers, but I think even more so, it's a great community of people. And Robert Shaw founded the chorus in the 1950s when the idea of volunteerism was considered to be one's civic duty. And so that has continued through the contemporary times. In terms of how much time is required, we rehearse once a week or Monday evenings from 7 to 10. But the singers are expected to practice in between so that they are prepared in coming to that rehearsal. And then when we have a concert week, everyone is really there each night of that week. But I think just sort of the music and the excitement and the community incentivize people to participate.
I've always wondered, there's a great conductor brings to performance. What makes a great conductor?
That's a really good question. We have the opportunity to work with so many excellent conductors, and I think the very best of them come in with a really, really high level of musicianship. And they come in with a very clear idea of what they want to do with the music. Even if it's a piece we've done many, many times, Beethoven 9, for example, we do that really regularly. But if someone can come in with their own ideas that are based in high musicianship, I think that is what makes it really excellent. Then the other component is that they've got to be able to inspire both the chorus and the orchestra to come on board with their vision. So I would say that's what for me makes an excellent conductor.
The one thing that I always like about choir music is you always have an instrument with you. Why is there a lack of acapella singing anymore?
I'm not sure that there is a lack of a cappella singing. I think some of the top American choral ensembles do quite a bit of a cappella music. For example, The Crossing, based out of Philadelphia, Santa Fe Desert Chorale, Voces 8, which is a British group. I think a lot of these groups are doing primarily a cappella music. Our chorus is based in symphonic repertoire, so I think that's why we do some a cappella music, but not a lot. But I think it's a little bit of a different responsibility, a different genre for us. But I think a lot of people are still doing a cappella music, which is great.
Curious. All right, I'll eventually figure it out.
There we go.
I'm curious whether you know the local story behind another chorus that sits in that same space as your chorus, full of voices that come from the pipework. There's a local connection to this renovation. You know that story?
I do.
When it comes to filming?
Well, I know of the renovation, which I think Eric Gastire, who's the music director here at First Pres, was part of that renovation. The Severance organ, I don't know when the renovation took place. I don't know. Do you know that?
I was thinking of the shots where
Yes, so the organ is a Chantz renovation for sure. And so Eric, for those of you who know him, works with them and was a big part of that renovation. They've renovated it again just quite recently. And I don't know to all of the ins and outs of that, but I believe both times it was with Chantz, if I'm not mistaken.
today. I'm curious how Severance Hall stacks up from an acoustic standpoint with other major concert halls.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it's hard to say because we are in the acoustic of Severance all the time, which is a beautiful, beautiful acoustic. That's what we're most used to performing in. So when we go someplace like Carnegie Hall, there's a period of adjustment where we have to change some of the things that the chorus does or some of the things that the orchestra does in order to make that acoustic work for us. But I mean, again, I'm sure I sound biased, but I think just the Severance Hall acoustic is unparalleled. And it's also so aesthetically beautiful. It's like you get the excellent acoustic and the beautiful aesthetic, which in my opinion is superior to Carnegie's acoustic. But again, biased. I'm sure the New York Philharmonic or other New York-based groups may not say that. No, it's beautiful. And, you know, we've been lucky to perform with the orchestra really around the world. And I have never experienced an acoustic that's as beautiful as Severance.
When you were singing with the orchestra, how do the two conductors work together?
Before I was the director,
When there's a performance going on, there's a symphonic conductor and the orchestra conductor and you. How do you work together during that performance?
I'm not conducting in the performance. It's only the orchestral conductor. In fact, there was one performance where someone asked me to do exactly that, to direct the chorus while they directed the orchestra. And I said, no, that's not the way it goes. So, yeah, it's, no, once I have to prepare them and then they're on their own. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, and in appreciation of your time with us today, we'd like to present you with this rendition of the Rotary Wheel with the four-way test on the back. This is made locally by the students of the village, from the Village Network. So, thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, all right. Well, I have a bunch of reminders for you. First, there will be no meeting next week. And hopefully you guys enjoy those, the glasses, the solar eclipse glasses that are on your tables, thanks to United Titanium. For those. And if you do utilize them on Monday and take pictures, please send us a picture, through Facebook, and we would love to share them on our social media pages. So please do that. On April 15th, we will have the Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost. On that day, we will also be selling the remaining bottles from the wine and bourbon event. So, Phil will be having them up here after the meeting, so make sure you bring lots of moolah, and, they will be filled up here. April 22nd, we will be having an off-site meeting at Long's Military Museum. So thanks, Greg, for hosting us. So if you haven't been there, it's very interesting, and you'll be able to go around and see all the exhibits that we have. And I also wanted to share, thank you for everyone that donated. The Hearing Mission Foundation, we hit the $300 mark, and we were actually at 357. So I will be sending a check off to that. So thank you to everyone that participated in that. With that, we stand adjourned. Enjoy your week off next week, and we will see you on the 15th. Thank you.